Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, Bahashem HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, who are the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who are risking their lives and their freedom to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds, who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushua, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Ekale, and I'm from the GMS Jamaica Kingston camp, and this video is about the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds or Israelite men. And that statement is true. Today, you cannot judge who is who and who belongs to which nation based off of the way that they look. Okay? You are determined by the seed of your father. That is what determines the nation that you are. Okay, now we do understand that certain nations have a certain look. However, there are several individuals on this planet, specifically talking about the nation of Israel, who do not look like Israelites. They come looking like the heathen. They come looking like so-called white people, so-called Japanese, so-called Korean and Chinese, so-called East Indian. They come looking like every single nation. And why is that? Because the Israelite men have been mingling with the heathen women, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens with that, as we've all seen by simply living life and existing, is that the child can come out looking like an in-between of the father and the mother, or can look completely like the mother's side, or look completely like the father's side. However Yahweh Shemishai determines it, it is determined. But you don't look at an individual and say, hey, they belong to this nation. That is something that is taught by Esau Edom, who is a carnal man. Okay? They've taught the world that if you look like this, then you're this. But that's not what it is. You have to judge by the spirit. Okay? That's the only way to tell which nation someone belongs to. All right? So here it is. You have this video from James Rebuke the Tempter 2, Moab or Yaquab, which is asking Moab or Jacob, right? Moab are the so-called Chinese / Koreans, and Jacob are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? Moab, they are the heathen, and the sons of Jacob are the sons of God, okay? The ones with the blessing, okay? So let's take a look at this lady right here. All right, so as you can see, she's performing, she's rapping, right? And so when you look at her, you see a Chinese woman, but you must judge the spirit to determine which nation she's a part of. And for me, it's clear that she's an Israelite. And it's not because she's rapping, but because of, there's something about her. There is that, as the French say, je ne sais quoi, right? She has this swag to her, as the world calls it, which is really the spirit, which is showing forth her Israelite spirit. There's a certain way that she raps. There's a way that she moves. There's a way that she just carries herself, right? She has salt, and it's clear to see. You know, I've been privileged with being able to be among several different kinds of people within my life, and I have experienced being around Israelites, both Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom, as well as being around heathen. And for me, there is a very clear distinction between the spirit of an Israelite and the spirit of the heathen. They just don't have it. They ain't got it, man. They don't have it. Okay, but she has it. And so she looks like this, but I judged her spirit. She's most likely an Israelite, right? And this could be generations of her family looking like this, but that's just what it is, right? It's literally centuries of Israelite men taking heathen women. And so, getting to the point is that the seed is what determines the father. When you look throughout the scriptures, it talks about the lineage of men every single time. When you go into Chronicles, that's what it talks about. When you look at David's lineage, it talks about how it's the Boaz to Obed to Jesse to David. When you look at our forefathers, it always talks about from Abraham onto Isaac, onto Jacob, onto the 12 patriarchs, right, of Israel. It's always about the men. So here we have in Numbers 1 verse 18, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So their pedigrees are determined by the house of their fathers. Okay, so let's look at the word pedigrees here. And it says to bear, bring forth, beget. The key word here is beget. Who begets children? Men. Okay, let's take a look at Etim online and look at pedigree, the word pedigree. And it says genealogical table or chart. Okay. On old manuscripts, descent. Okay. Now, from the 16th century ancestral line, right? Ancestral line. So let's take a look at the word beget. And it says beget. The sense of to procreate is from the 12th century, generally used of the father only. And it's only used of the father. Only men beget children. Okay? Period. The woman is simply the vessel that hosts the seed, hosts the child. So it doesn't matter what nation the woman comes from. It is all about the father's seed. And yes, the child will take on some of the look of the mother perhaps. Sometimes not. But it doesn't matter. It's all about the seed of the father. I want to take a look at the word genealogical and see what it says here. Pertaining to or of the nature of genealogy, relating to or exhibiting the succession of offspring from a progenitor. I'm pretty sure that progenitor refers to men. Let's see. Genealogy, same thing, line of descent, pedigree, descent, genealogy, give birth, beget. There it is, beget. And it is men that beget children. Okay. Let's see what progenitor says. Progenitor and ancestor in the direct line. Oh, there it is again. Beget, to produce, beget, from the 14th century. So it is by the seed of the father that you're determined, and it doesn't matter what you look like. Okay. Now we have this individual right here. She looks like what she looks like, but let's get some modern day examples, right? Who shall we look at first? Let's look at Kimora Lee Simmons. Kimora Lee Simmons, because she looked like, she looked like a Moabite, but let's look at her parents. Okay. So this is Kimora Lee Simmons, and I wonder if there are any. So this is her and her mother. Her mother looks like a Moabite woman, right? I wonder if there's a picture of her father that we can find. I've seen him before, and he does, in fact, look like a Negro male. And the reason why I'm bringing this out is that, even though you can't tell by the look, I'm showing proof that when two people come together looking of two different nations, even though the father looks a certain way, The child can still come out looking like the mother. Wow. No pictures of Kimura's dad? Did they wash that away from the internet? Wow. Hold on. Here we go. Her father's name is Vernon Whitlock Jr., and this is what he looks like. Boom. He looks like a Negro male. So he saw her mother and he saw her father, okay? And he looks like a Jake. He looks like an Israelite man. And this is what she came out looking like, man. And through the spirit, for me, Kimura Lee Simmons is most certainly an Israelite woman, okay? But let's look at some other examples. Let's look at tennis player Ben Shelton, okay? Because Ben Shelton is white passing, you see? This is him, you know. Back in the day, he would be able to leave his family and mingle with the Edomites. And this is his family right here. That's his dad and that's his mother. All right. And his father is Brian Shelton. Okay. We also have Madison Keys. Now, these are just examples, man. These are just examples. Madison Keys, these are her parents. You see? And this is Madison Keys. She looks like a so-called white woman. Okay? Now, I don't know what nation these fathers really belong to. You have to judge the spirit. But what I'm showing you is that the father can look one way and the mother looks one way. Okay? And the child can come out looking whichever way. You also have Jennifer Beals. Let's bring it out. Jennifer Beals. Parents. So this is Jennifer Beals, and those are her parents. Her mother looks like an Edomite and her father looks like an Israelite, and this is what she looks like. Okay? So it happens, man. And that is why you must judge the spirit. Here it is again. Her father, her parents, you know? And there are many examples of this. Many, many examples. I know people, I forget what that athlete's name is. Actually, let's not even look at the athlete because I can't remember his name, but let's look at Drake and his son. This is Drake. Okay, Drake is obviously an Israelite man. It's clear to see. And his son came out looking like this. Came out looking like an Edomite. With, you know, that big fluffy yellow hair. Okay, so these are just some examples and there are many more examples. Okay, so you must judge the spirit. And as it says in the book of Romans, the spirit beareth witness, right? This is Romans chapter 8, verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh Shemishai, and if children, then heirs of Yahweh Shemishai, and joint heirs with Yahushai, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. So the Spirit bears witness. The Spirit bears witness that we're the children of God. It is the spirit of an Israelite that will show through no matter the encasing that it's within, okay, that flesh, because the flesh is simply a vessel hosting the spirit, and that's what it is. Okay, you know, I believe that's really that on that, you know. So I hope that this was received, and ultimately it will be received by those who will receive it. And actually, I'll get one more and get one more precept. Because when it is that Yahushai returns, Yahushai is going to be delivering people that's going to be looking like all the nations. All the nations. But they will all be Israelites, as salvation is only for Israel. As it says in the book of Luke, chapter 1 and verse 68. Blessed be the Lord Yahweh of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, and David is an Israelite. Okay? Salvation is only for us. And it literally says the God of Israel, the God of us, the Israelites. Okay? And then we get another one. And this is Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which is talking about Yahushai, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So once again, when Yahushua returns, he will be gathering the Israelites, and the Israelites will come looking like many. And there are brothers in the camp, in GMS camps, that look like heathen but are not. But they're teaching the word of Yahweh Shemishai, and they believe in the name of Yahweh Shemishai, and there is no heathen that will sincerely call upon the name of Yahweh Shemishai. Okay? It's just not going to happen. That's not how it's set. It actually says in the book of Malachi chapter 1 that the name of Yahweh is dreadful among the heathen. They will not call upon the name sincerely. If you meet someone that looks like a so-called white man or a so-called Chinese, and they calling upon the name Yahweh Shemishai sincerely, and they say they believe sincerely, that's an Israelite. Right there. As it says in Psalms as well, his judgments and his statutes are unto Jacob and unto Israel, and no other nation hath known them. Okay? So that I like to say, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai, Bashim Rakal Kodesh, and shalom again to those scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds that are Israelite men. Shalom.